It was a time of chaos and division. A nation torn asunder by war. Amid the thunder of cannons and the relentless march of soldiers, a small figure emerged from obscurity to etch his name in history. This is the story of John Clem, a boy who defied expectations, dodged death, and found himself a hero in one of the darkest chapters of American history. A boy's resolve. The year was 1861, and America stood on the brink of war, when President Abraham Lincoln called for volunteers to join the Union Army. The country's young men rushed to enlist, but among them was an unusual recruit, a boy no older than 9, his resolve unshaken despite his small stature. John Clem was just a child when tragedy struck his family. Born in Ohio on August 13, 1851, his life took a grim turn when his mother died in a horrific train accident. Grieving and restless, Clem found his purpose in the Union cause. With the determination only a child could muster, he ran away from home to join the army. But his journey was far from straightforward. The officers of the 3rd Ohio Infantry Regiment laughed at the sight of the diminutive boy and turned him away. Yet Clem wasn't deterred. "I can carry a drum or a gun if it's not too heavy," he pleaded. Rejection stung, but it didn't stop him. His persistence led him to the 22nd Michigan Infantry Regiment. Here, a grizzled colonel admired the boy. Spirit but hesitated. "If you were a foot taller and a few years older," the colonel mused, "I might consider it." Clem's unwavering resolve, however, won them over. Though unofficial and unpaid, the regiment accepted him as their drummer boy. Into the storm. By 1863, Clem had traded the relative safety of his drumsticks for a musket, cut down to fit his small frame. The Civil War raged on, and Clem's courage carried him into the fray. His defining moment came at the Battle of Chickamauga, a clash that would test not just his resolve but his very survival. The battle unfolded in September 1863, in the thick forests of Georgia. Amid the chaos, John Clem found himself in the heart of the fight. Smoke choked the air, and the deafening roar of cannon fire was constant. As Union forces faltered, Clem's regiment faced a devastating assault. Amid the retreat, Clem became separated from his unit, lost and vulnerable. He was suddenly confronted by a Confederate officer. The man towering over him sneered. "You were a little fellow to be in this business," the officer remarked, or perhaps more menacingly. "Anthony Door. Dior." Clem didn't flinch. His small hands gripped the musket as he stared down his enemy. The officer demanded his surrender, certain the boy posed no real threat. But Clem's response was anything but ordinary. With a steady aim, he pulled the trigger. The officer fell and Clem bolted, vanishing into the smoke. The drummer boy becomes a hero. Word of Clem. His bravery spread like wildfire. Newspapers hailed him as the drummer boy of Chickamauga, a symbol of hope in a war that had seen so much despair. For his actions, Clem was promoted to sergeant, the youngest non-commissioned officer in US Army history. But the war was far from over, and Clem's luck would take hold in Tennessee. Confederate forces captured him. For 3 harrowing days he was their prisoner, subjected to interrogation and intimidation. Yet fate had other plans. Clem was freed in a prisoner exchange and sent back to his regiment, where his legend only grew. Even General William S. Rosecrans took notice of the boy soldier, personally sharing his story with the press. Clem became a household name, his exploits a rare source of inspiration for a weary Union. Life beyond the battlefield. The war, however, had no place for children. In 1864, new regulations barred soldiers under 16 from enlisting. At just 13 years old, Clem was discharged and sent home to focus on his education. Though reluctant to leave the battlefield, Clem adapted to civilian life. He wrote to his former comrades and excelled in school. But the call of duty was too strong to ignore. After graduating high school in 1870, Clem sought to continue his military career. President Ulysses S. Grant himself intervened, nominating Clem for West Point. Though Clem failed the entrance exam, Grant ensured his commission as a second lieutenant. A soldier whose legacy. Clem's military career spanned an incredible 44 years. He served in Texas during the Reconstruction era, participated in the Spanish-American War, and climbed the ranks with steadfast dedication. By the time he retired in 1915, Clem was a brigadier general, the last active duty Civil War veteran in the U.S. Army. In 1937, John Clem passed away, leaving behind a legacy of courage and perseverance. His grave at Arlington National Cemetery bears the name John Lincoln Clem, a tribute to the president whose call to arms changed his life forever. The spirit of a hero John Clem's story is not just one of war. It's a tale of unwavering determination of a boy who refused to be underestimated. From the battlefields of Chickamauga to the halls of military command, his life stands as a testament to the human spirit, boundless potential. His legacy endures, a reminder that even in the darkest times courage can light the way.